everybody, it's the Warhipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial from the realms of Skaventide. Yes, we are here with our Reclusians from the Skaventide box. These are really cool new unit of Stormcast Eternals from the Ruination Chamber, no less. And we're going to be painting them up today in the colours of the Hallowed Knights. Now, as you can see, we've got our 3 Reclusians and we've got our 3 Memorians as well. Now, 2 Memorians accompany these guys, and one of them accompanies the Lord-Terminos. However, I figured we'd just do all 3 of these and all 3 of these at the exact same time. So, if you want to see how to paint the Lord-Terminos, you can. That video is already available here on YouTube. So, massive thank you to Games Workshop for sending me this one early, as per usual. I've been having just an absolutely fantastic time painting up Skaventide, and I hope you've been enjoying following along. But now it is time for us to jump in and paint the Reclusians. So we're going to start with the Reclusians, and then we're going to do the Memorians. So we're just going to move these Memorians out of the way, and we're going to grab one of our Reclusians here. They've all been primed in grace here, and the colour we're going to be using first is some thinned down Iron Warriors, and we're going to be applying this over the top of all of their silver armour. And I would recommend having the box art in front of you, just so you know what parts are silver and what parts are gold. But it is going to be things like the trim and stuff that is gold. Mostly.
And whilst we're applying that Iron Warriors, let me tell you about our sponsor. This video is sponsored by Serious Readers. I love these HD lights from Serious Readers, and I'm excited to tell you about them once more because these things are top tier. Seriously. The HD lights utilize proprietary daylight wavelength technology which replicates the daylight spectrum as closely as technically possible, which makes a big difference on your eyes and your eye health. They come in floor-sized packages and table-sized lights, but you can also select the Gemini option, which gives you not 1 but 2 light engines on separate flexible arms, giving you optimal coverage of your painting space, or a light source to share with someone else. People who see together, hobby together. That's the saying, right? They're hand-built right here in the UK in their factory in Aylesbury, whilst pioneering research into improving sight through shedding better light, relying on replicating the natural daylight spectrum that our eyes have evolved to use. They offer a 5-year warranty and are recommended by over 500 independent opticians. They've got excellent customer service too, as when I asked for a colder bulb, they sent me one, along with a diffuser. Check out Serious Readers today, and if you pick one up and use offer code JOSH24, you can get £100 off high definition lights and free UK delivery. Check out the links below. And now, throughout July and August 2024, you can win a HD light by checking out the competition link in the description. This competition is only open to UK residents and terms and conditions apply. Check it out and good luck.
With that then done, we've also applied it over the top of the axes, of course, and it's over the top of the entirety of the axe head. But what we're going to do now is we're going to take some Black Legion and we're going to apply this over the top of the outside of their skirts. So with that all done, our next colour is going to be some Talassar Blue. I'm going to apply this over quite a few different details. So the main one is of course going to be the cloak. However, what we're also going to be applying this over top is the field on the shield. We've got this little rondel in here which we're going to apply it over, and we've got the trim of our mail. There, like so. Don't forget about the ones on the shoulders, but there is also this shoulder pad in here that we need to get. Like that. And then one thing to watch out for on the cloak is if you have a fold like this, you don't want to apply this over the top of that. So actually the cloak starts there. We want to do the blue, but otherwise we want to do it all over the top of the outside of the cloak. So with all that Talassar Blue applied, we're then going to take some Ultramarines Blue. And we're going to apply this over the top. So with all that Ultramarines Blue applied, what we can now do is take some Cygor Brown, and we're going to apply this over top of all of the leather, including the scabbards. With that then done, we're going to take some Blood Angels Red and we're going to apply this over top of the grips of the weapons. With all that Blood Angel's Red applied, we're then going to take some Skeleton Horde, and we're going to apply this over top of all of the parchment scattered all the way around all of these Reclusians. So with that all done, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Seraphim Sepia, and we're going to apply this just by tilting this one a little bit. We're going to apply this over the top of the inside of the cloaks and the skirts. So with that all done, it's now time to take some thinned down Retributor Armour. We're going to be applying this over the top of, well, pretty much all of the remaining details. However, there are a couple of little white bits here and there. So for example, around the outside of the face on the shield, that is going to be a white lightning bolt. So we're not going to apply this over the top of that. And there's a little half moon, crescent moon, on that rondel, on the shield, on the chest plate just here. We're not going to apply it over that either. So what I would of course recommend as usual is having the product photography in front of you. That way you can just check in on which bits are going to be white. So with that all done, it's time to add some shades to our Reclusians, and we're going to start out by taking some Gore-Grunta Fur. We're going to be using this over top of all the mail. With that Gore-Grunta Fur applied, we're then going to take some Black Templar, and we're going to apply this over top of the majority of the axe head. So basically, not the blade, but the rest of it. And so with that Black Templar applied, we're then going to take some Nuln Oil, and we're going to apply this over the top of all the silver and all the black. I should also point out actually at this point, what we're also going to do with the Nuln Oil is we're going to apply this over the top of the details that are going to be white. Such as this little doodad here on the chest and over here as well, like that. So with all of that Nuln Oil applied, we're then going to take some Guilliman Flesh. And we're going to use this to shade our gold. And the red. And for our final shade, we're going to take some Agrax Earthshade, and we're going to then apply this over the top of where we did our Gore-Grunta Fur, just to distinguish it a little bit from the rest of the gold. But this does, in fact, finish off our first detail. So with that all done, our Reclusians are now what I would call a Warhipster battle ready, and they're looking pretty cool. However, we can make them look just a little bit cooler by taking them to the next level. And we're going to do this by first adding another shade, which is going to be a roughly 2 parts Lahmian medium to 1 part Black Templar mix. And we're going to be applying this basically over the top of the armour. Now you don't need very much here. Just a small amount of it on your brush at a time, because we're not looking to kind of turn it completely black. What we are looking to do basically is just kind of really strengthen out the darkness of that armour in preparation for our relay, which will come very shortly. So we're just going to apply this like this over the top. As you can see, it just really strengthens out the shadows of the armour. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Leadbelcher, and we're going to use this to kind of reapply a little bit of shininess back into some areas of the armour. So we're going to go for areas such as the chest and the helmet, and we're just looking for like the large open flat panels. Don't worry about anywhere where you've got any little bits of trim or where it's congested. We want those shadows in there, but for areas like the chest, like that, we just want to add that little bit of shine right back in there. And we've got areas like these hip plates as well, where we just really want to kind of do the bottom of that one like that. You don't need to do the top, and we don't need to do the one in here so much, but we can do this top one just because it is so very shrouded in shadow. Like that. I'm going to do this knee. Like so. You don't need to do the leg, but we can do the boot because it's upturned to the sky. Similarly for the gauntlet. Like so. And as mentioned, we got the helmet as well. In the spirit of continuing to do some relayers, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Kantor Blue, and what we're going to do is we're going to thin it down sort of 5 or 6 parts water, and we're going to use this to just tidy up any areas that we need to in all the blue. So for example, here on the cape, we're just going to add this like so over top of the flat areas. Now this is a bit of an optional extra, because if your capes are fine, you don't have any kind of patchiness to it. You don't have to do it. Same for the shields and things like that. However, I've got a little bit of patchiness going on, so we're just adding this as a little kind of corrective glaze over these areas. Just avoiding any of the deep recesses. Still on that relayering train, what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Corax White, and we're going to use this to relayer the cloaks as well as some of our flat white details. So we don't need to worry about the little crescent moons and the faces on the armor, but what we do have is the lightning bolts around the edges of the shields, which we've obviously put a bunch of mistakes all around, all that blue as you can see there. So we're going to use it over the top of that, but what we do need to do is relayer these cloaks and the inside of their skirts as well. So with all that Corax White applied, our final relayer is going to be some thinned down Retributor Armour. And we're going to use this to just relayer any of the open areas in the gold. So this is going to include basically the trim of the shield, some of the areas on the kind of shoulder pads, pauldrons. Oh god, I've lost the ability to speak. But it's also going to include the face on the shields. And sort of gold bits around their kind of heads, like these large wide open bits. Don't need to worry about the kind of the spikes on the top, but for the kind of the main bit, we do want to apply this over the top of that flat area. So with that all done, it is now time to finally start highlighting. So that's what we're going to do. And we're going to take some thinned down Ironbreaker. I'm going to use this to highlight all the silver details around the miniature. So with all that Ironbreaker applied, we're then going to take a roughly 2 parts Stormhost Silver to 1 part Retributor Armour mix. I'm going to use this to highlight all of the gold. So with all of that done, our metallics are very nearly finished. However, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Baharroth Blue and we're going to thin it down with sort of 4 parts water. And we're going to drop this into the runes on the axes. So We do it this way around here. And so with that done, it's a little bit early in the day, but what we're going to do is we're going to take some Blood Angels Red, and we're going to apply this over the top of any of the little gems, which normally we would do right at the end, but at least this way we can finish all of the metallic portions. Of our Reclusians. So with that all done, all the metallic sections are now finished on the Reclusians, so what we can do is we can take some thinned down white scar. I'm going to use this to highlight all of the white details. So with that all done, our next colour is going to be some thinned down Hallowed Blue. I'm going to use this to highlight, funnily enough, all of the blue. So with all that Hallowed Blue applied, we're then going to take some Fenrisian Grey. We use this just to add a couple of little spot highlights to the sharpest points in all the blue. So with all that Fenrisian Grey applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Eshin Grey. And we're going to use this to highlight the black cloth. And with that Eshin Grey applied, we're then going to take a tiny amount of Dawnstone. And we're just going to apply this to these sharpest little corners. In the black. Like that. So with that then done, we're going to apply our final highlight, which is going to be some thinned down Screaming Skull. I'm going to use this to highlight all the parchment. So with that done, as you can see, our Reclusians are now finished and they look absolutely fantastic. And here's the one we've been working on. Now that is a Stormcast Eternal. Anyway, now that they're done, it's time for us to work on our Memorians. Now, we've got 3 to work on here they all are. And, well, they're broadly the same. However, there's a couple of bits here and there, as I'm sure you can probably tell, that are going to be called out as we go along. However, we're mostly going to focus on this guy over here, and then we'll get to these two as it comes along, because these two have got hoods and this one does not. Anyway, I'm going to pop this to one side. Oh, he does have a hood actually, it's on the back. There it is. He's just got his hood down, that's all. Anyway, the colour we're going to be using first, and of course these have been primed in Grace here along with the rest of the set, but the colour we're going to be using first is some Cygor Brown, and we're going to be applying this over the top of their robes. But the reason I pointed out the hoods is we're not going to be applying it over the top of the hoods. We want those to be a different colour, just to create a little bit of visual interest here. So apply this Cygor Brown over the top of all of the rest of the robe. And then once that's done, we'll come back and do it across all three. So with that then done, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Black Legion and we're going to apply this over the top of boots, scabbards, belts and the hoods. So with all of that done, what we're then going to do is take some Skeleton Horde and we're going to apply this over top of all the parchment. So with that all done, we're then going to take some Blood Angels Red. I'm going to apply this over top of the grips of all the stuff. So with that Blood Angels Red applied, we're then going to take some Guilliman Flesh. I'm going to apply this over the top of the hands. So next up, what we're going to do is we're going to take 4 colours. I'm going to use this to do all of the flames. Now they're all carrying some form of brazier or something. So we're going to be doing this across all 3 of our individuals. But the recipe is exactly the same. So 4 colours we're going to be using are Imperial Fist, Gryph-Hound Orange, Blood Angels Red and Black Legion. We're using them all at the same time. So we're going to start with Imperial Fist. And we're just going to come in here and we're going to apply this over the top of the flame. Like so. And we're also going to get this over the top of the coals. Down there. Go around and do the back. Just like that. Then we're going to wash the brush. Grab some Gryph-Hound Orange. And then from the tip, we're going to apply this. Like so. Turn it around. Apply again. like that. Wash the brush once more. Grab some Blood Angels Red. From the tip again, I'm going to apply that like so. And like that. And then we're going to wash the brush. Grab a little bit of Black Legion. And we're going to apply this to the very tippy tip. Like that. And then, just in the coals, we're going to apply it. Like this, all the way around. Like so. Wash the brush one more time. And go back to Imperial Fist. And then we just use that to kind of just move the colours around and get it looking just how you want it to. Just like that, really. So with that all done, we're now going to take some thinned down Iron Warriors. And we're going to apply this over pretty much all of the remaining details. We're going to leave a couple of things behind, such as the kind of trim on the scabbards and daggers on their backs. Maybe occasional little bit of trim here and there. So for example on this guy, it's a little gold ring that he's going to be holding. But otherwise we're going to take the Iron Warriors and going to apply it over top of all the metallic details. And one thing I'm noticing, and you're probably noticing it as well, the back of this individual's head is open. So we need to get some Guilliman Flesh on there. So with all that Iron Warriors applied, as you can see, here we are. This is what the state of affairs is. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Retributor Armour and we're going to apply this over the top of all of our remaining details. As you can see, we've got this little bit of the brazier on this one, got these bits here and here, and well, this little trinket just there, for example. And then if we flip them over, you can see as well, we've got the bits of the daggers on the back, we've got the trim on the bits of mail here and down here as well. So we're going to be taking that Retributor Armour and we're going to be applying it across all of those details. So with that all done, it's time to add some shades to the model. And the colour we're going to be using first is some Reikland Fleshshade. And we're going to be applying this over the top of all the gold, but also all of the brown of their robes. And so with all that done, we're then going to take some Nuln Oil and we're going to use this to shade all the silver and all the black. And so with that done, we actually got one more shade to apply, which is going to be some Casandora Yellow. We're just going to apply this over the top of the flames, just to give them a little bit more punch. So with that all done, our Memorians are now what I would call a Warhipster battle ready, and they're looking pretty cool. However, we are of course not going to leave them there. No, we're going to take them to the next level, and we're going to do this by adding some highlights, just like we did with our Reclusians. So, we haven't actually got that many to do here, so we best jump in and get going. So, the first colour that we're going to be using is, just like on our Reclusians, is going to be some thinned down Eshin Grey, and we're going to use this to highlight all of the black details. With all that Eshin Grey applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Dawnstone. And we use this to add a little spot highlight to the sharpest points in all the black. So with that all done, all of the black details are finished. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Blood Reaver Flesh. I'm going to use this to highlight the brown. With all that Blood Reaver Flesh applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Night Quester Flesh, and we're going to use this to add a little spot highlight to all of the brown. And so with that done, we're then going to take some thinned down Ironbreaker. I'm going to use this to highlight all the silver, excluding the mail. We don't need to do anything with that. It's all good. And so with that done, we are now going to finish off our Memorians by taking some thinned down Liberator Gold. I'm going to use this to highlight the gold bits. And so, with our bases now complete, our Reclusians are now complete. And, well, I'm just blown away by how cool these guys are. I hope that there's going to be a multi-part version of these, or indeed something that has a slightly different weapon loadout, maybe some super big axes or something like that, because I think there's just a lot of potential here within the Ruination Chamber, and I'm very, very excited for Stormcast. If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com/warhipster, just like all of these wonderful amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.